Hello everyone, welcome back to the Battlefield Brawl League Season 3. We're here for another qualifying league game, this time between Paranoia and KRissCHu. You can see that they both have we have Walk in the Fog here approaching us, and both of them have crushed their will. Paranoia is playing as the mercenaries, we're following it from his perspective. KRissCHu playing as the undead. I'm really looking forward to see what KRissCHu has been building. It was a long time since we saw him, since he was the very first game that we recorded for the Bodyhood League Season 3, and since then we haven't seen him in a game here. And it seems that he has a really low morale. Take a look at the top left corner here, 96 for Paranoia, 44 for KRissCHu. That's probably the lowest in the league. He really needs to fix that. We do know that he's playing with 2 zombies, so that is alleviating it a little bit, but it's still very low right here. While they are setting up, since it's going to be a while until they meet, let's take a look at the league table here. You can see that Paranoia is currently ranked 5th, chasing for one of the top 4 spots that will land him a place in the upper division, while KRissCHU is resigned to going down in the lower division almost no matter how it goes here. And Paranoia still has the chance. He was ridden off very early, but that surprise win against Karond has really brought him some fire back here. Let's see what he can do with his wealth of experience. Gonna skip ahead here on the deployment. Here for the very first turn, it's gonna take them quite a bit of time here until they get moving. Let's see what Paranoia does. He seems to be... There we go, he's starting to move. It's easy to want to move with your entire team towards one spot here and move the ones that are fastest there as soon as possible, but then you could get caught. Of course, it's going to be the same issue here for KRissCHU. A lot of his units are very spread out, particularly on the lower left part of the lower right part of the map here. These 2 players had, I feel obliged to say that they just started a game, then forgot the objective, so they just restarted it, and they're a little bit slower to get going since they are discussing the ramifications there of not actually resetting their warbands. They just started up instantly once again, so their warband screens will be a little bit off. But that's an issue for the tournament organizers, less so for... Well, it's still an issue for the players as well, but it's not going to affect any of the gameplay here. And they're saying here that, for example, Paranoia, he just forgot to make a backup but after the last PvE anyway, so it really doesn't... He can't just replay that either. So there we go. Gathering up most of its units here, gonna be seeing if he's going for the high ground with all of them. Some of them have a fair bit to travel here. Look at this. Sodnil has already 8 red pills, 4 attacks. They do mature so early here. Yeah, he seems to be going for keeping on the high ground here. It could be a very long game. And then he has another one of those. He has 2 units right now that has 4 attacks each. That is a lot of melee power. Gonna see if there is even the slightest possibility here that KRissCHU could withstand this. The vampire is a very good unit, but that's pretty much only the thing that the undead warband has going for them this early on. Yeah, might not find that no one is actually going to get towards the idols. It's good to leave it here. Some might argue that the Vampire Thrall is good as well. I know that the tournament organizers, for instance, argues that the Vampire Thrall is overpowered at this early level due to the fear effect. Same with the possessed unit. But I find that that's really not the case, and I think if you ask any of the tournament Mordheim veterans here as well, they would also deny that that is actually the case. Fear is good at low levels. Sure, it might be decent since you get minus 30% to hit, but the units themselves are not too good. the Possessed will be very lackluster. I mean, even if you do fail the fear test against him, it's not like you're going to miss attacking him, and he has virtually no defense and little in the way of offense. It's easy to forget here that when you have the armbands, it's I think it's equal to or just slightly better than the dagger. Otherwise, every single weapon in the entire game does more damage than the armbands, unless you get an arm mutation. But we're not here for the Cult of the Possessed right now. We are here for mercenaries against the undead, and you could argue that this is the best warband in the format against the worst warband in the format. The best warband played by a Mordheim veteran here, Paranoia, who's not had any success at the tournament level, but he does have a wealth of experience and lots of hours in the game, particularly at low level games, and that's where he's going to finally be able to shine. All of his tournament experiences come from much higher level tournaments where his particular talent set might not have come into full use. KRissCHu, however, is one of the newcomers here, and he, as you saw earlier on with the league table, has not been doing too well right now. I do strongly think that he should probably have won against Game Night. If you can see that on Game Night's channel, the Game Night against KRissCHu. KRissCHu pretty much had that game, but made a really bad tactical decision at one point and decided to, instead of attacking the 5 wounds warrior that he could easily kill off Game Night and then produce a route test for Game Night, he decided to attack a full health warrior instead in another direction, and so he got to take a route test and then he lost it. In a very close game, I think it ended 2-2. But a Game Night victory nonetheless. It's just these tiny little things that makes certain players stand out against another, and it's all about experience and learning what to do and have this predatory instinct for what you need to do for the win. We saw that in one of the earlier games here when Ragnar Rockus really performed and took a big win against Bobby Boyd Fried, I think, being completely outmaneuvered and outdamaged, and then just sneaked past with an assassin, took the idol, and then won the game. It was a glorious game to watch. You should really watch that. And in case you're wondering, that should be I think that was the third game in the Buddyhood League Season 3 playlist here. Even if I did give out some spoilers, it's still worth watching of some of the differences here with people that make good strategic decisions and people that still have a lot to learn. And these are definitely good tactical decisions, the two Lads Got Talent warriors. It's a lot of talk about them right now, that they are overpowered and so forth, and yes, they are. Just look at this. There's nothing that KRissCHU has that is going to be able to even dent these units. They're gonna do so much damage to him, and it's gonna be one contact kills here. But they do tend to fade off after a while. They do get all of their stuff in advance. They get lots of skill points in advance. They get all of the red pills in advance, and that makes them powerful comparatively to the other warbands. But they will catch up. Come the playoffs here, it's very possible that you will definitely get up to level 9ish, 10 with the first two heroes, and they're going to be just as good as the Lads Got Talent warriors, probably a little bit better, since you do have one more passive slot open. You have a little bit more skill points available to you, 6 more skill points to be exact, and you also tend to be a better character overall. The mercenaries have some of the best, absolutely best Lads Got Talent henchmen here with the warriors and the marksman, particularly the marksman, but every single mercenary player so far has gone for the warrior instead. And he's really good, especially with Overpower. Skill that produces a stun resistance check if you do land it. So you attack once, trigger the passive of the warrior, which gets plus 20% hit chance, and then you do an Overpower, which naturally has a minus 20% hit chance, so it sort of cancels out there, and then you land a stun resistance check and hopefully stuns your opponent, who can then easily be killed. But I do think that a lot of the basic heroes here, they do come into their own with versatility and their own kind of power that the Last Got Talent heroes here might be lacking of. Particularly as we start seeing the DLC units. For example, the Globadier seems to be wanting to sneak around here. It's you have to consider here that KRissCHU has also thought of this and naturally is trying to pull up all of his units somewhere, maybe around where Paranoia is hovering his cursor over, right there in the central square. And if he moves everyone there, they will just simply have bypassed one another. Yeah, we do see one unit here. Alright, alright. So they have finally seen each other, and that's going to be really good. Gonna speed up the game considerably. Yeah, he might be waiting by the wagon now. We have a few units of Paranoias already moved down a little bit here. Gonna see a few more jumping down. Let's see if they take some damage. No, they did not. Keep rolling pretty low here. Probably didn't want to block that jump down point, but that he did. There are other jump down points though. Both of them have crushed the will, so it's basically not going to, he didn't, he barely didn't block that jump down point. It's going to be good for him. I'm going to keep the range up high here, but it's very unlikely, I have to say, that KRissCHU is going to allow him to just stand up there and fire down into an ensuing melee down the walls. He would be really foolish to do that. But it's kind of this safe thinking that people naturally fall back to. The idea that you want to keep your range well out of sight and hopefully on high ground as your units move down in below. But that's usually what works against the AI. If you really should try and move up the units a bit further so that you get more blue pills when the fight actually does start to happen, and being able to position them in better positions, because while this looks like a good position, it really is not to have the range up there on the walls, because no one will engage him while he's up there. So trying to occupy one of these buildings, get into a surprise position and hide the ranged unit is going to be a lot better and could produce a lot nastier results. Seems to have double dregs here for KRissCHU. That is interesting. So we did talk a little bit about the Vampire Thrall, which is not a super great unit, but she is decent. But the two dregs here, it could be an indication that we're going to see two ranged dregs, which honestly is something that undead need. They need a little bit of firepower. So having two ranged dregs is pretty fine by me. They're very slow though. Resting here in Sigmar's shadow. There is a lot of melee power coming in. You don't really want to get caught with that, because no matter what unit you put up against them, they are going to die instantly. And then you're going to have a chance to retaliate against them, but then you need to have some kind of firepower to bring back on them. And will these dregs be enough? That's a white bow on one of them. This is very unlikely. You always have to consider exactly where is your opponent and where could he possibly reach. That is the most important part when you're setting up ambushes and overwatches and so forth, and deciding how much you can risk using moving the ranged units forward and vulnerable units forward. Because if all you're actually doing is that you constantly keep the range back and you always make that a point, then you're not going to get your units into position all the time. It is something as using excessive caution here, and then that leads you to getting worse positions on the map when your opponent is rushing towards key points and you are not. Might make this a combat area anyway. It would be silly of KRissCHU to make it a combat area, but I'm gonna see what's happening here. It's not going to be easy for the Last Talent Warriors here to climb back up. So might want to take on the high ground. Yeah, and he is. Here he comes. KRissCHU's first dreg coming into the picture. You can probably switch as well and do a respectable amount of damage. "60 seconds left. Should just move forward here and start shooting. He's losing out a lot of time here. Look at this. He's wasted so many seconds without actually doing anything. I mean, he might be looking at the minimap. Yes, he might be doing various other things, but he's deciding, yeah, I don't even want to try and shoot you. I'm just gonna jump up and jump down, letting you know that I'm here. I think that was a wasted opportunity, to be honest. A lot of Paranoia units are down there, you can see that, and it's not easy to climb back up. If there are even any spots here that you can climb up, they might have to go back a bit. It's going to take them a long time. You could have done a lot here. Gotten a bit of damage advantage, but I elected not to. Gonna see if that's gonna be good for him. I can see that every one of KRissCHU's units here up in the corner. That might be a climb up point. The wall there. Yeah, didn't want to risk it, just steps back instead. Look at that unit, he could have done quite a bit of damage and really scared off Paranoia in that situation. I think he had him a bit. It's a shame he didn't commit there with the bows. Alright, alright. Might be getting closer here to a showdown between these two. It's very difficult for KRissCHu what he's going to do. He needs to do some skirmishing, he needs to do a bit of damage, and as we saw, there is a jump up point here a bit further back, and now he's moved away with several of his units, so he can't really get to where he needs to be.
A new round has started.
Yeah, committing topside, I think that would have been a good idea. Seems like he's going down here instead, and depending on where he's going here, that's gonna trigger Paranoia to go in there with his powerful melee heroes, and he could do a lot of damage. Remember, for Paranoia this game, he really needs a win, but he can't just take any win, he needs a big win. And as you can see from the morale here, it doesn't take much for KRissCHu to rout, so he needs to kill the right kind of units. Preferably he would love to kill all of the zombies as soon as possible, since they don't drop any morale for KRissCHU, while still severely limiting his options. Should probably try and focus on the zombies here if he can. I've been very lucky so far with the jump down there. It's yeah, we do see a zombie here. It's gonna be a good look. Even the captain here has 3 attacks. Gonna delay, see what the other 3 units of KRissCHU is doing before he commits. That might be a wise plan. That zombie might be targeted down here. Delay from the vampire. And he seems to go up here again. Let's see what he can do from this high position. Really would have loved having a blue bow. I'm pretty sure it would have increased his range. He can get a little bit closer here, and that should be fine to actually start hitting someone. Could start doing first blood here. Manages to miss that. A bit unlucky. And misses the aim as well. Wow. Yeah, that's really not KRissCHU's moment of luck. Trying to wait out the vampire. If you're going to delay, you need to delay as soon as possible, because the time is still ticking down. But the vampire is protecting the drag here. It's very unlikely that we're gonna see the warrior here go in and try. It could be an ambush area, it is. Land stat. It's only gonna be one attack though. There's a very low level ghoul. So you can see it's kind of alright for him here to pick dual wielding, since he has one red pill left over, yes, but he would only have gotten one attack regardless. And as expected, Paranoia just bounces off there. Pulls up his team, everyone is gathered. Gonna see if he's gonna focus down the ghoul here. I would personally go just for the zombie to be able to rack up some of the kills here. It's gonna be very important. And he's not in ambush, and he already knows that he's not in ambush. So, but he's still going to go into ambush himself. Alright, if he's gonna do that, then that's an indication of that he's going to focus on this ghoul instead. Doing a healthy amount of damage. You can see there is a 5% chance here of scoring a critical hit. Yeah, this is the power that people are raving about when it comes to Lads Got Talent. This is what they can do this early on. They are very unfair early on. Why not just... That zombie should not have too much in the way of movement here as well. But there is another zombie behind him we could get into. Yeah, this is what makes the undead so poor in this format, is that they can only get ghouls to be Lads Got Talents, and they are really poor at it. They are absolutely the worst target for Lads Got Talent. And on top of that, the necromancer is unlocked as the third choice, meaning that zombies are going to be very slow and not that useful for a super long time. And the ghouls are probably the worst henchmen in the game as well. So they really don't have anything going for them. Dregs are not that great. It's all about the vampire, to be honest. That's the only thing the undead have going for them. They're really quite a bit far below everyone else. It's not even close, really. I mean, you have the 6 warbands. If you rank them up, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it will be lots of empty spaces, and then you will have undead. They are quite a bit behind. Yeah, might want to just set up an ambush, an overwatch instead, since there is another zombie here that's going to come into effect soon. Bypassed the parry here. Very strange that the zombie is going to attack at this point, but if he's doing that and trying to take away all of these red pills, it could be a good indication that the vampire is coming in here to support. No, he's very much too far away. Alright, where is he going? Jumping down another point. See the zombie here that the captain set up an ambush against. Could just exit an overwatch here, I think. I think it would be better than doing a shot. Still lands the shot, a bit lucky here, 32% chance of doing that, and 32 damage. Gonna trigger the ambush by the captain. So far it's going pretty well for Paranoia here. He did manage to kill a ghoul, yes, dropping the morale a fair bit, but he is engaged to both off the zombies now. 2 kills that he definitely need to have here to catapult his way up through the league table. I'm curious to see what KRissCHu has got in store for us. Has he got any skills that's worth much at this point? You can see it. The captain here, the mercenary captain, already has insult, and that took 6 skill points. That is a very heavy investment for Paranoia to make sure that this captain can land all his blows and help the Last Got Talent warriors land their blows. It's probably a good setup to get to that overpower skill that we talked so much about, since the mastered insult reduces your melee resistance by 20, making it 20% easier to land one of the overpowers. Could possibly get a few shots off here. Remember that the ghoul did die. It should be much easier to hit, and indeed he is. And manages to land a critical hit here, 4% chance. That's turning things around, getting an open wounds as well. Dreg here switched up to, it looks like a great axe. No, a great hammer. So one of the most, it's probably the most damaging weapon here. If you, it is the most damaging weapon if you don't have any armor on you. Gonna look to do a charge here on the Last Got Talent warrior. If he can land this, it's gonna be really big. He needs to do damage on them. He needs to reduce their offensive output if he's gonna have a chance in this. Ops just used a single attack here. I'm not really sure I like that move. Like, why would you do that? Just to have a dodge chance? You still have a dodge chance. Why don't you want to be this engaged with that character? Like, you could... It's very unlikely that you're gonna produce an all alone check, yes, but why not? If there's something that the dregs are awful at, is that's why they tend to be good as archers, is because they have such low leadership. They start with only 1 leadership, the lowest in the entire game, and that means that they have a very low chance of passing any all alone check coming their way. Meaning they're gonna waste their whole turn from now on. Might see one of the zombies going down here. Look at the power of the Last Got Talent, it's really, really big. Taking a 2-0 lead. And having basic insult here, so he could definitely stack them both. Sneaky move to try and lock down. Oh, he's in a really poor ambush, isn't he? He's lucky to be able to even land that. He was in a really poor ambush. You can just walk up the stairs there and do the damage on him. One more hit needed. Takes a 3-0 lead here. And it's all henchmen that has gone down for KRissCHu, and he only has this ghoul left remaining, as well as 2 dregs and the vampire. He really needs to get in here as soon as it's his turn. We'll definitely make sure that you have at least one more unit going into the drag here, but it could really be anyone. All Alone test is coming up. It's gonna be very tempted to go into the Last Got Talent warrior here. Unless he dies in this blow. No, he does not. He does not. Fails to parry though. We might see the vampire or anyone else here trying to focus fire right now, get the Last Got Talent warrior out of the way, see if you can plan some sort of miraculous comeback from this, or at least get a few points. It's gonna be a nice ambush here if he does set it up. Yeah, he does. So Paranoia realizes this, he doesn't want anyone to get near him, he needs to sacrifice a unit here to go in there and wow, that's unlucky, and do damage. Did a whole switcheroo here with the mace as well as the empty hand, being plus 25 initiative for that ghoul, I believe. Yeah, what can the vampire do in this case? Hoping that whatever unit he goes into is not that great against terror. Picks the captain, should have the highest chance, but did actually miss that. Gonna see 2 more attacks incoming, I believe. And 1 more. Doing a respectable amount of damage, cancelling the All Alone here, which is the most important part. Oh wow, look at this. This is going to be such an unlucky turn for KRissCHu. If you see that in the top middle part of the screen here, you see that the captain as well as the 2 dregs all have the same initiative. And for some reason here it seems that the captain is the lucky one that's going to start before the dregs. And it's going to kill that dreg. If the dreg had started first, that dreg would most likely have killed the captain instead. You can see how... yes, the tiny little bit of luck here could have turned some things around. Now it's going to be very unlikely to happen, especially if it's going to go out like that. Just prior, so it wouldn't actually matter. Paranoia had all the tools he needed. Also passes the round test, there's 62% chance. Gonna use the Mastered Insult, see what it's worth. KRissCHu can only take 1 more out of action here before he is forced to take a round test. Gonna see how good he is at that. Paranoia already got 4 kills, so this is a solid good win for him. He needed all of these points and he could get at least... he's going to get at least 1 more kill, probably 2 if he's pulling the damage in. And why wouldn't he? He has a lot of burst damage from the 2 Last Got Talents, or the 1 Last Got Talent is still alive. Could definitely manage to get that going. Very surprising he decides to use shooting here, unless he's really bad at melee. Because that 50% hit chance is not really worth much compared to just going with a 2-handed weapon. Especially since it is a white bow after all. Might not have any use for this particular warrior, it should be obstructed. No, it's not. Now he did move forward a tiny little bit, so there is still space to climb up. But there is no luck in climbing. And moves away here because he doesn't want one of his units to get stuck on the climb up point. He wants to use as much space as possible, but didn't want to move in there. He wanted to do a charge, yes, precisely because he was afraid of the terror coming into effect there, and it did, cancelling out the character completely. Two more attacks incoming. Yes, look at this. It's going to be a lot of damage. Not quite dead just yet, but it's not far off, especially since he is now stunned. Pretty much anyone can go up here and deliver a finishing blow. I should probably walk around this character so that it's easier for everyone else to come in into the area of effect. Gonna have one attack. Two more attacks left. Let's see if he can manage to go past the wounds pool here of Paranoia's captain. Looks very unlikely. He needs critical hits. Doesn't even manage to land. Dreg might get his turn here, but after that, is there really going to be anyone left alive to do anything? Well, it's a very, very slippery wall, this. It's virtually impossible to get up. Gonna get a charge in on the ghoul. It's gonna if he's gonna get a kill here, it could spawn a route test coming in, and indeed a route test it is. Let's see if KRissCHU actually make this. It is possible. And it's going to be an all alone check. He's going to fail that and take even more damage. Let's see here. Let's see. And it's a merciful failure here. 32. That's really not a whole lot, is it? Like, that's only 8 leadership. It means that KRissCHU has not invested anything in leadership, and he really starts to do that if he's going to have any success in the lower division. Anyway, congratulations to Paranoia for a 5-1 victory here, and hope you enjoyed watching this game. Thank you so much for watching Buddyhood Brawl League Season 3. My name is Karond, and I'm out.